Hey there, we're back.
In the same clothes, same day.
Same day, because we just had to break
Batch
it up.
recording. No.
No, definitely batch recording, but we wanted to put this one in a separate video. We want to talk a little bit about another controversial thing going on in Utah public schools. It's certainly happening nationwide, but it's certainly happening here in our Utah public schools. So as homeschoolers, we go to the library a lot, the public library.
We go to the library weekly at least, sometimes more than weekly if we have a book that is due suddenly. We check out a lot of books, and we're encouraging our kids to read. They should be reading, we tell them to read 20 to 30 minutes a day. That's dedicated reading time, in addition to like looking at books at night and stuff.
Our older two kids read a lot.
Yeah.
And so
they're readers.
That's a slam dunk, I think, for them.
I know. One thing that just left us feeling kind of icky about the public school system was the books in the public school libraries.
Yeah. If you're from Utah or you know of what's been going on here in Utah, that our state legislators, God bless them, finally passed a law a couple of years ago. It's called the Sensitive Materials Law. And they said that pretty much if there are descriptions or depictions of pornography and it gets really
specific. We didn't even want to read it on this video.
Think it was allowed. We were even allowed to talk about it on this video. So they said that if it meets that definition or criteria, the definition or criteria, if you want to look it up, is section 76-10-1226. Then if it meets that definition, then they say there is no serious value to minors and therefore should not be in schools. It's not, the law is not totally shored up yet. And I hope this next legislative session in 2024, they're gonna fix the loopholes that are still left in it. But pretty much all the schools had to follow that law. And I helped with Weber School District to help give them a lot of feedback about how that policy specific to our school district would be crafted, and then tried to remove many inappropriate books that we felt met the definition. We brought a group together. I think I got a group together of over 200 parents and citizens that were concerned about the content of some of these books in our libraries. And as far as I'm aware, as of January 14th, 2024, this many books have been removed from that list.
Removed.
And I think I found that out as I was going through the process, engaging with the district and all the people involved there and the board members, that it was a losing battle. And I was just putting in so much time and effort and energy that I was just like, that's part of what pushed us into this homeschooling realm, was like,
spend the energy on
it. Let me just invest that energy in my own kids, and to heck with the public school, because that's not something I want my kids to be exposed to. So the school libraries technically are effectively distributing pornographic material to children, and they make it easily and accessible right from the comfort of their school library. The library that's just down the hall from their classroom.
They have to go to the library. They have to check out a book. And there are these very pornographic books. I mean, he was reading some to me, and I was like, stop.
I'll tell you at the end of this video where you can go look and see. But that's happening in our school districts. And, and again, for our district, I can at least explain why I think those books ended up in the schools. The librarians, they're all great, wonderful, fantastic people. Many of them, I don't want to stereotype, but many of them are just sweet old ladies. They're just sweet. They're all great people. But But
There's
these
a lot of
books,
books
when they
coming
go
in.
buy books with school dollars, every year they get certain funding, they go buy them. They go to these library publishers, and the publishers give them a bundle of books. And they don't have the time or capacity or manpower
to read
to read
every
through all of
single
them to
one.
see if they're appropriate for kids. So these books end up in our school libraries, and then it's up to parents, students, someone to complain about them until they get removed or flagged inappropriate. And if you're not in a state like Utah that has a law that says there's a criteria that if it meets these definitions, then it has to be pulled out or go through a review committee, then it's just in there for any kid to get and read and consume. And anyway, so the school libraries is one thing, because the kids right there, the library and the kids are so closely, proximity to each other.
Mhm.
That really concerned us as parents.
Yeah, and public libraries are
A different
less
thing.
concerning because you're intentionally choosing to go to the library, to get in the car and to go and find books. Sure, they can have all the books they want, and I will just tell my kids, don't go over there. Or
Now, if you've been into either a school library or a public library lately, or even I would say a bookstore,
bookstores.
if you are not seeing what everybody else is seeing, you need to go back again into a library or into a bookstore and see. Book publishers are pushing
An agenda.
And it's very in your face agenda in a lot of different ways. And there's even, I think, money peddling and forcing these organizations to do all these things, including the book publishers and the book dealers that provide these books in batches to all the districts all over the country. So this is certainly happening. So we got involved, and I'll tell you how to get involved. We got involved, and it was hard. And it was hard to make change. It's not impossible, but it's hard to make change for something that you want, because these school districts have to keep their focus on
the
the
masses,
whole, and not just like one Campbell family or this or that. And so, but we want to teach you and encourage you how you can get involved. So at least here in Utah, and there's several organizations across the United States that are similar to this, but the one that's here for our area in the Intermountain West is called Laverna in the Library. So so that's supposed to be the Laverna librarian. So if you go on Facebook and go look up Laverna in the Library, you can join the group. So they'll give you a training at the beginning of the when you say I want to help, and they'll give you a training and teach you what to do, how to do it, where to go, where to look, what to look for. They have already compiled huge lists
of books that are already known in schools that definitely are pornographic.
And they need parents in that school district or in that school to go and challenge that book. So what does it mean to challenge a book? You simply just go in and say, hey, I have an exception with this book. Who do I talk to? Literally, that's what you do. And every school district has a different policy, at least here in Utah. So wherever you live, in whatever state, whatever county district you're in, that's what you would need to do, is just go. Especially if you have a kid at that school, you can go into the library and go thumb through all the books in the shelves and look and see. And again, Laverna in the Library has a big long list of books that we've already said.
One of the ones that's definitely on the list. And it even shows like what schools those books are.
Yeah, at least right? Laverna in the Library for here in Utah, they'll show you which books are at which school. And because they can check it, because that's on an online database, so you can see which books are at every school in Utah. And so and Laverna in the Library has excerpts. They have they can tell you what page they talk about this and what pictures are in the books and everything. It's horrific.
There's a lot of disturbance.
It is disgusting. So that's probably the best way, is you can go help identify in your local public school libraries. Just go thumb through all those books. You have to read them to understand the context, and so that's always important. But again, a lot of these, even if you understand the context, like you have to ask yourself, do I want my kids being involved, reading this kind of content? obviously you want to learn your district's policy for challenging a book, submit the challenge, and then follow up with this school and the school district until it is removed. That's the process. And then you would just want to make sure that you engage with the stakeholders in the process. So some of the stakeholders are certainly the library. And I think most people, if you just go and talk to the librarian, you can solve most of these book issues with the library. You won't even need to go any further up. But depending on who's in that seat in the library, you might have to go to the principal. And again, depending on who's in the seat and how well you know them and the relationship you have with them, you might have to go above them even. So again, start at the library level, start at the classroom level, even be aware of what books the teacher in your kid's classroom has, their own classroom library that the teacher might have that they own. That's where we're starting to see a lot of agendas and inappropriate books being shared with kids. But you might have to go as far as the school board members and or the superintendency to address the issue in your area. So we just want to encourage everyone, acknowledge that this is a thing going on in schools. Again, it's one of many reasons why we decided to homeschool. It's not the only sole reason, it's one of many. But it's just one of those that we thought we would talk about and address in a video so that we could help bring more awareness to it, that it is a problem, and then parents should clue in. You know, it was interesting when I was going through this process too, board members would say to me, well, Stu, yes, we recognize that there's an issue. Yes, clearly there's inappropriate books that are made into our libraries, but there's worse things on the kids' cell phones. They're looking at worse things on their social media. And I don't disagree with those comments, but that's up for each parent to regulate and decide with their kid. And so even though there's other mediums in which kids might obtain pornographic or indecent material, that doesn't excuse...
Schools shouldn't be distributing it.
Yeah, that doesn't excuse a school from turning why they should, justify it being in the school district and in our school library. So it's just one more area that we need to shore up and make sure it is safe for our kids to freely work their, thumb through every book that's in the shelves and devour it to whatever content they want to, but we don't need to be allowing our kids to read it. And certainly age appropriate books, I agree with. We have a lot of I think there's video games, movies that have different rating levels, but we don't have one for the books in our libraries at all. And there's even a push by the group, the Laverne and the library, to even offer as a solution to schools, hey, we'll come in and mark all the books and with a rating and put a sticker on each book so that kids know which books if mom says you're allowed these ratings and below, great, but these ones don't. It would
be on their account somehow to know, oh, you can't check out a book with this rating.
Yeah, so there's lots of things, there's lots of solutions districts and library personnel can come up with, but it requires parents to engage with the district and your local school to start holding their feet to the fire and protecting our kids. So again, that Facebook group is Laverna in the Library. Yep. Great group. And there's lots of them across the United States. So wherever you're at, look for one. You might even message the people who are over Laverna and say, hey, if we're in, on the East Coast or in a different state.
Yeah. Do you know?
They might be able to point you to some parental rights groups that might help you.
Yeah.
In your area.
So the more you know.
I love it.
Catch you next time.
See ya. Bye.